Well, my 5 questions, 4 of them are on one paper. And they are all interrelated. On education of children, what we should do. I'll just read it out to you. And I try to give my own personal opinion based on many, many years of experience, both with bringing up my own children as well as learning it from other families and friends. First question is, what is the most important task for the parents to fulfill as parents to educate well their children? What is the most important necessity for the children to feel that they have to grow up healthy? What are the 3 most harmful things that make children not grow up healthy? What the children need the most when they are in ages 1 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20. They can go on until they're young. You know, I think the most important thing that we can give to our children is a home with harmony. Harmony is the basis, is the food of the soul for the children. With this in the family, in the home, you will have the trust of your children. They come to you when they have problems. They don't go outside and ask for problems. And this is very important. I remember this often I heard from Johanna. She used to say that the greatest gift that God gave me was the home that I grew up in, that there was love and harmony between my parents. And this was what I lived on, I grew on. And it is really very, very important. Education we talk about, I don't know what we mean. I think there are 2 kinds of education. It is the spiritual, moral education we give our children. Then it is the academic education, they go to school and they learn. And to my humble opinion, that first one, the spiritual education, is really the most important. That is by which we grow into a good human being or not so good. In schools, the children will only learn the rule of reading and writing and grow up and write, expand their minds and everything. But that initial education, before they go to school, from their home, will be the basis of their learning later on. And I think that is, as parents, we should put much more importance on the spiritual education of our children, rather than the academic one. Academic one is, I don't deny it, it's very important, but not as important as the spiritual. Then to give the 3 ways of what we do for our children to prevent harming them, I don't know. In every country, in every society, in every home, maybe there are 3 different things. I think in this day and age, I think one of the most pernicious things in the home is television. I think our children learn a lot of things that we don't want them to learn through that little black box. And seems that in the world there is no limit in what is shown in this television. I know many young couples who just don't have a television in their home. They don't allow it in their home. So the children are not used to having this as a pastime for them. I remember many, many years ago, I was visiting my daughter in the United States. One weekend I was invited in another town, and I stayed in the home of a very lovely baha'i couple. They had 2 little children. And the guest room was on the 3rd floor. So I was quiet all night, except that by 5 in the morning, I heard the noise of television. I got up and came out, and there was the playroom of these 2 little ones. 5 in the morning, these 2 came, put the television on, quite high, and we sat there and watched it. And I thought, I looked at them, I said, "Do your mommy know you are up here?" And the older one said, "Yes, because she doesn't want us to wake her up." So you see, this television has become a way of parents freeing themselves from the responsibility of the children. So I think it's really, we have to think twice before we have in our homes, when we have young children, as they're placing television. Maybe children are going to curse me, but this is my own view. Also, she's asking, I think, what she means. What is harmful? One of the things that is harmful for the children, but they want to be healthy, is probably consciousness, and this is very prevalent today, thank God, in the world. Young people are much more conscious of health for their children, of what is good for the children and what is not. And this I see with my own family, with my own children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, child, and then this consciousness. I remember many years ago when I was again in the States, there was a very wonderful lady, maybe some of you remember, Nakhjavani. She was a counselor and member of the International Teaching Center for some years. She was an educator. She was a doctor in education. And she told the story, I could not believe my ears. She said they were doing some experiment with children who were hyper. They could not keep them quiet. And she said she went to a primary school somewhere in New England. And she found in the morning when the teacher came in, she called each child and gave a little, something like a bonbon, as they said, you know. And Mike asked the teacher, "What is that?" She said, "It's a tranquilizer." She said, "We cannot teach them. It's impossible. I cannot keep them to sit." And so they did a lot of study and experiment, and they found that these hyper children are really the children who were fed on sugar and on all kinds of preservatives in the food, and this caused an illness in the child. The child couldn't concentrate, couldn't sit still, and when they experimented on cutting all of this from the children's foods, there was tremendous improvement. There was no need for any medication, there was need for nothing, but just keep them in natural food. So maybe that's what the person who wrote it wanted to hear. As for what do we do for children between these ages, really it's so long ago when I had a child between 1 and 10, or 10 and 15, or 15 and 20. I can't remember what you can do. I know it's a lot of trouble, especially when you get from 10 to 15 is the worst time. And it needs a lot of wisdom, it needs a lot of patience, it needs a lot of understanding, and God bless you, I hope you go ahead and do a good job. But from 15 onward, it's another question. I think if we bring up our children in consciousness that when they become 15, that they are spiritually reaching the maturity, that they are the laws of Baha'u'llah applies to them. It's a very big thing. Today in the society, especially the society of the West, a 15-year-old really acts like a child. Not in the East. You go in the East, the Oriental countries, 15 is a grown-up. He has responsibility in the home and towards the family and towards himself and his own doing. And I think that This is why Baha'u'llah gives the age of 15, because we have to be aware of the fact that this is a very important thing. Rumi Khanum used to say, she said when she was 15 years old, in the morning, her mother called her to her room. It was a lot of celebration, gave her her gifts, kisses and everything, and then she looked at her and she said, well, now from today you are responsible for your own soul and your own behavior. And Rumi Khanum said, I burst into tears, said, oh no, mother, you're not going to leave me now, you're not going to leave me to myself. She said, no, I will never leave you to yourself. I'm always here for you. You can always come to me and I always help you. But I want you to know that from today, your life is different. Now you are responsible for what she's getting. Is to put this consciousness in children. It makes them much more responsible for their own actions than just constantly saying yes or no or never or whatever. So it needs a lot of wisdom. The other question is whether the father and mother of Shulgi family were covenant breakers. You know, there was a very short time last night, and I did not touch on this point of the family of Shulgi family. If you read the crisis where, you know, Rumi Khanum really in details give the story of what went during those years when one by one, the family, the close family, the cousins, the aunts, everybody, one by one, became covenant breakers. They broke the covenant of Baha'u'llah. It was one of the saddest things that happened to Shulgi family. Rumi Khanum often said, I remember the first talk she gave, many of us heard her tape in London after the funeral of Shulgi family. She said, to the friend, she said, I want you to know, it wasn't hard work that killed Shulgi family so young. It was what his family did to him. The sorrow that the family gave Shulgi family. It was so hard. She often said this, that every time that he reached a point that there was no way except announcing to the Baha'i world that this member of the family or that member of the family is now a covenant breaker. Rumi Khanum said it was like a dagger he was putting in his own heart. It hurt him so deeply. And this is why he couldn't bring himself to send a cable to the Baha'i world to say even my parents are dead. But they were covenant breakers. There was no two ways about it. They were with their children who had broken the covenants. And I like, this is not in the question, but I think it's very important for Baha'is to know why the family of Abdul Baha, the daughters of Abdul Baha, the grandchildren of Abdul Baha, were so faithless to break the covenant. Rumi Khanum used to say, she watched, and she realized two things. One was that they were too proud. They felt that their station in the faith is so high. They are the members of the family, therefore they are exempt from many rules and regulations that is set. Covenant, Rumi Khanum said she heard it from one of the members of the family herself to say, this will and testament of Abdul Baha is for the Baha'is, it's not for the family. Family was exempt. Loyalty to family was before the loyalty to the cause. And once this happened, what happens is that when my father in 1952 was on pilgrimage, and one of the members of the family had done something stupid, and Shulgi family was very sad about it, he told my father, when they lose their faith, they lose their common sense. This is what happens. They cannot really see right from left. They do silly things They do things that hurt. They reach the point that they hurt Sharif for no reason. They could not accept him as the guardian. They looked at him as a brother, as a cousin, but not as the guardian of the faith. And this was their problem. And the same thing happened to the parents. Should be very buried parents, of course, in the Baha'i cemetery, what else he would do? But if you go to the Baha'i cemetery of Haifa and see these two graves, you don't know who they are. The way the name is put. Now, the judgment is Baha'u'llah in the next world. It's nothing to do with us. But outwardly, what we look and what Uli Khanum put in that priceless spur is really a picture of what happened to that family.